Genesis 14. 1 year later, Chedorlaomer and his allies arrived and the slaughter began. They were victorious over the following tribes at the places indicated: the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emin in the plain of Kiriathaim, the Horites in Mount Seir, as far as El Paran at the edge of the desert. Then they swung around to Emishpat, later called Kadesh, and destroyed the Amalekites, and along the Amorites living, and also the Amorites living in Hazazon Tamar. But now the other army, that of the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, Zor, unsuccessfully attacked Chedorlaomer and his allies, as they were in the Dead Sea Valley, 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the valleys were full of asphalt pits, and as the army of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some slipped into the pits, and the remainder fled to the mountains. Then the victors plundered Sodom and Gomorrah, and carried off all their wealth and food, and went on their homeward way, taking with them Lot, Abraham's nephew who lived in Sodom, and all he owned. One of the men who escaped came and told Abraham the Hebrew, who was camping among the oaks belonging to Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and Anna, Abraham's allies. When Abraham learned that Lot had been captured, he called together the men born into his household, 380 of them in all, and chased after the retiring army as far as Dan. He divided his men and attacked during the night from several directions, and pursued the fleeing army to Habah, north of Damascus, and recovered everything: the loot that had been taken, his relative Lot, and all of Lot's possessions, including the men and other captives. As Abraham returned from his strike against Chedorlaomer and the other kings at the valley of Shaveh, later called King's Valley, the king of Sodom came out to meet him. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, Jerusalem, who was a priest of the God of highest heaven, brought him bread and wine. Then Melchizedek blessed Abraham with this blessing: "The blessing of the supreme God, creator of heaven and earth, be upon you, Abraham, and blessed be God, who has delivered your enemies over to you." Then Abraham gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the loot. The king of Sodom told him, "Just give me back my people who were captured. Keep for yourself the booty stolen from my city." But Abraham replied, "I have solemnly promised Jehovah, the supreme God, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread from you, lest you say, 'Abraham is rich because of what I gave him.' All I'll accept is what these young men of mine have eaten. But give a share of the loot to Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre, my allies." Genesis 15. Afterwards, Jehovah spoke to Abraham in a vision, and this is what he told him: "Don't be fearful, Abraham, for I will defend you, and I will give you great blessings." But Abraham replied, "O Lord Jehovah, what good are all your blessings when I have no son? For without a son, some other member of my household will inherit all my wealth." Then Jehovah told him, No one else will be your heir, for you will have a son to inherit everything you own." Then God brought Abraham outside beneath the nighttime sky and told him, "Look up into the heavens and count the stars if you can. Your descendants will be like that, too many to count." And Abraham believed God. Then God considered him righteous on account of his faith. And he told him, "I am Jehovah, who brought you out of the city of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land." But Abraham replied, "O Lord Jehovah, how can I be sure that you will give it to me?" Then Jehovah told him to take a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon, and to slay them, and to cut them apart down the middle, and to separate the halves, but not to divide the birds. And when the vultures came down upon the carcasses, Abraham shooed them away. That evening, as the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and a vision of terrible foreboding, darkness, and horror. Then Jehovah told Abram, "Your descendants will be oppressed as slaves in a foreign land for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and at the end they will come away with great wealth. But you will die in peace at a ripe old age. After 4 generations they will return here to this land, for the wickedness of the Amorite nations living here now will not be ready for punishment until then." As the sun went down and it was dark, Abram saw a smoking fire pit and a flaming torch that passed between the halves of the carcasses. So that day Jehovah made this covenant with Abram. "Abram, I have given this land to your descendants from the Wadi el-Arish to the Euphrates River. And I give to them these nations: Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaim, Amorites, Canaanites, Gershites, Jebusites." Genesis 16. But Sarai and Abram had no children. So Sarai took her maid, an Egyptian girl named Hagar, and gave her to Abram to be his second wife. "Since the Lord has given me no children," Sarai said, "you may sleep with my servant girl, and her children shall be mine." And Abram agreed. This took place 10 years after Abram had first arrived in the land of Canaan. So he slept with Hagar, and she conceived. And when she realized she was pregnant, she became very proud and arrogant towards her mistress Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abram, "It's all your fault, for now this servant girl of mine despises me, though I myself gave her the privilege of being your wife. May the Lord judge you for doing this to me." "You have my permission to punish the girl as you see fit," Abram replied. So Sarai beat her, and she ran away. The angel of the Lord found her beside a desert spring, along the road to Shur. The angel: "Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going?" Hagar: "I am running away from my mistress." The angel: "Return to your mistress and act as you should, for I will make you into a great nation. Yes, you are pregnant, and your baby will be a son, and you are to name him Ishmael, God hears, because God has heard your woes. This son of yours will be a wild one, free and untamed as a wild ass. He will be against everyone, and everyone will feel the same towards him, but he will live near the rest of his kin." Thereafter Hagar spoke of Jehovah, for it was he who had appeared to her, as the God who looked upon me, for she thought, "I saw God and lived to tell it." Later that well was named the well of the living one who sees me. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old at the time. Genesis 17. When Abram was 99 years old, God appeared to him and told him, "I am the Almighty. Obey me and live as you should. I will prepare a contract between us, guaranteeing to make you into a mighty nation. In fact, you shall be the father of not only one nation, but a multitude of nations." Abram fell downward in the dust as God talked with him. "What's more," God told him, "I am changing your name. It is no longer Abram, exalted father, but Abraham, father of nations, for that is what you will be. I have declared it. I will give you millions of descendants who will form many nations. Kings shall be among your descendants, and I will continue this agreement between us, generation after generation, forever, for it shall be between me and your children as well. It is a contract that I shall be your God and the God of your posterity. And I will give all this land of Canaan to you and them forever, and I will be your God."